Welcome to the Tuck Shop Podcast. I'm Matt Cernell, coming to you from the campus of the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown. A little early this week because we wanted to get word out before registration was done for our reunions. As always, David joins me. Hi, David.
Hello, Matthew. How are you?
I'm a little jittery from all this coffee. So
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. Drink more water. Maybe.
We'll see.
I don't know.
But other than that, we're doing well. So we have quite a schedule of events coming up. Ross Kleinstuber is going to join us in a little bit. He's the head of social science and talk about some of the programs going on in social science, as well as about the social science reunion. We had Dr. Charlene Rollins last week for education. But we got a whole calendar of events going on.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on homecoming weekend, which is the 27th and 28th. Some things that don't get enough, I guess, publicity. I wanted to just throw out a couple of other reunions that, I talk about this all the time. If you want help with doing a reunion, you want to do tours, you want to know what's going on, give us a call. Two groups we've been working with have reached out to us. One of the groups is Alpha Kappa Psi.
Okay, the business fraternity.
The business honors. I think it's an honors fraternity. Yeah. Business fraternity, exactly. So they will be getting together on Saturday to, break bread, if you will, down at the Adirondack Shelter. So if you want more information on that, give me a call. Email me. We'll get you all hooked up for that AK Psi, I guess they call it, reunion. Also, the rugby team. It's always been kind of a tradition, I think, to have rugby playing at some point during homecoming weekend. I know they have a game Friday night, the men's rugby team. Then on Saturday, we're going to get together with them, and they are doing a women's game at 11 o'clock. And then following that women's game, they're going to do a barbecue for alum. So again, we've got some guys interested and some women interested in that. If you played rugby, you want to watch rugby, you want to be part of that alumni reunion, again, give me a call, 814-269-2081, or email me at dgj7 at pitt.edu, and we'll get you all hooked up, get you into the right groups. Those are those kind of things that you always hate, that you bump into somebody 2 weeks after homecoming, and they say, didn't see you at the reunion we had. And then their response is, we didn't know about the reunion that you had. So we're hoping to try to be that conduit to get the groups together, get people in the right groups. So if you're an Alpha Kappa Psi alum or rugby alum, or liked watching rugby or watching Alpha Kappa Psi, give us a call. We'll get you hooked up. Give you all the details for their activities also on homecoming weekend.
I think that's really neat, and especially the point that you make that I hope everyone who has a group that doesn't necessarily don't sit there and be a loyal listener and come in and say, I can't wait for them to talk about the thing my group's doing. Honestly, there's a chance David and I have a very big slice of experience on campus across multiple decades between the two of us with different groups, but not everything. Right. So you might be that one person in that's sitting out there and saying, I'd love to have a reunion for my particular thing, but I'll wait for it to come up. We may not know about it.
Right.
Call, reach out. We're glad to help you put these things together. That's what we're here for.
To your point, Matt, I didn't even know that Alpha Kappa Psi existed.
Oh.
I really didn't. I wasn't a business major.
Again, different. Yeah, right. I did, but I knew people who were in it. You were humanities. That was
right. There's, there's. I remember. I don't know if there's still. There was the Newman Center at one point. There's Time Out Christian Fellowship. Those kind of groups. They were multidisciplinary. They were across. Engineers, athletes, non-athletes. So if you've got a group and you want to get together, the least we can do is hook you up with some pretty cool swag.
Yeah. I think a great example, too, that we try to, just the nature of our time here, is look at the old yearbooks and that kind of thing. But that doesn't encapsulate potential groups that were just groups.
Oh, sure.
You had a group that you all met freshman orientation and were close for 4 years and beyond. You want to come back.
Right.
That's not a official, air quote, group or sport or club, but to you, that was campus.
Right.
That's fine. We are glad to work with you all, too. You don't have to have been a sanctioned
correct
club or organization or sport.
If you all lived in the same lodge.
Yeah.
That same lodge probably got together. That lodge probably competed in air band together, probably at a point when there was mud volleyball competed together. Probably had, like you said, dinner together, hung out together. However, they never were a sanctioned pose for the picture for the yearbook group.
Yeah.
But that's still a valid group of people that just hung out. And I don't care, we talked about it before, if it's 8 people, 10 people, 12 people, what if it were everyone that ever lived in that particular lodge over the last, well, some of the lodges aren't 50 years old, but the last 30 years? Wouldn't it be cool to get, a townhouse reunion?
Sure.
Get everybody together and say, this is what it was like when I went here. So we're looking to go outside the box because those are where those affinity groups happen, whether it's, you're right, by planning or by happenstance that we just hung out. We were a study group.
Great. Another great example. I keep thinking of these things, and actually we didn't talk about it because it didn't happen at the last podcast, but we got to, and probably wisely, we didn't attend because we weren't invited, but and that was the wise part, but got to support 2 alum who met here.
Yeah.
And started dating here and then got married last a week or 2 back.
2 weekends ago.
Campus.
Yeah. Got married on campus, had their reception on campus. The cool thing about it was, and this was, tell the quick story of it, conference services. Today we have a couple alum getting married and they've got 12 individuals in their wedding party, which makes sense. That was the group, 12 people that were in the wedding party that were alum. We hooked them up with swag. Yeah. But it was kind of cool. We didn't make the invite list, didn't make the short list. We're cool with that. I'm cool with that.
I'm okay with that.
It's one less registry you have to worry about. Yeah, right. So, but as the Alumni Association, as institutional advancement, we were willing to help out however we could because it was a cool group of guys and women that got together, that met here, got married here. Who knows? Someday maybe their kids will be coming back and going to school here.
Yeah.
Parents groups, if there are a bunch of parents had children around the same time, you may have kids now attending here. All the more reason to come together. And again, I say it, ad nauseum, we can do everything from minimally get you a room where you can meet and do tours to let's set a menu, let's put a price to it, and let's organize it where you're able to partake in some of the buildings. We've gone as far as with some of the larger reunions, obviously in the off season with larger groups, to actually have them stay on campus. Mm-hmm. Matt and I keep talking about how cool it would bring a reunion back to actually eat in the cafeteria.
Something you can do in homecoming.
Something you can do at homecoming,
yeah.
But it's, one of those things, we could probably arrange a large enough group to be able to say, let's get a section of the cafeteria on that Saturday and get together. So it's, we want to work with those groups. And again, to reiterate, the groups don't have to be something that was recognized by the university. They could just be your affinity group of friends.
Correct.
For sure.
I think it's really exciting. And this list of events coming up is just fantastic. Again, you're going to hear this episode. This is dropping on Tuesday, the 17th. You have till the end of the week. So we're a day early on the release. You have to the end of this week to register for Social Science Reunion, which we're going to talk to Dr. Ross Kleinstuber here in a little bit, for the Education Reunion as well. So get those registrations in. We want to see you. The numbers are going up. We've got a good list of folks that are coming. I'm excited to see, but we need and want more because we want to see everybody. At the same time, still down below, you'll see the registration for Business and Enterprise. If you are in Business and Enterprise, your reunion's coming up at the end of October. It is going to be quite an event, and we're going to talk about more as we get closer to that. But is there, and you want to register now and see some of the details. It's on the webpage.
let's drop in that homecoming link. If you're coming up for those reunions over that weekend, register for homecoming. Get yourself a couple of meals throughout the day. As we mentioned before, the Alumni Association will have our hospitality tent going from 5:30 to 9, I believe.
I believe so, yes.
And that'll be right in the vicinity of both the coronation and the fireworks. You don't have to register for that. But if you're coming up, make a day of it.
Registration helps especially if you want a meal, you want to have dinner on campus.
We'd like to know if you're coming to the hospitality tent. Helps us out a little bit, but it's not required. Homecoming registration, I don't think they'll feed you if you didn't register. So
correct. That's what the big thing is for the meal.
Yeah. Yep.
It's going to be really, really neat, as well as an event we're going to be doing it or supporting at the beginning of October.
Beginning of October is the Francis Hesselbein. Oh God, what's he call it? Francis Hesselbein Leadership event.
Yeah, it's not a conference. It's a morning at least of events and so forth based around the leadership ability of Francis Hesselbein, an alum of our institution, who was instrumental with the Girl Scouts and leadership across many, many decades.
Grew up here in St. Michael's, went to school down in town, and got her degree eventually from the University of Pittsburgh in Oakland. Because back then,
you couldn't do this.
Couldn't do that. We were only 2 years, man. And I don't want to give you all the details because I'm going to leave that for Dr. Dittmar I don't want to steal his thunder.
Dr. Dittmar will be joining us in a couple weeks to talk about his event as well. So there's plenty of going on here on campus. There's no downtime for any of us, and we love it. We want you to be a part of it. Check those links. If you have questions, David, contact information for you again.
814-269-2081 or DGJ, the number 7 at pitt.edu. Or I'll tell you what, if you're on campus, just stop in at 272 Blackington. Doors always open during normal business hours, 8:30 to 4:30, 5 o'clock. By all means, stop in, chat. We'd love to see you. So you don't have to always rely on the phone or on the email. I think what I'm going to do this week, as you mentioned, we're going to flip this. We're going to move this up to be Tuesday. Tell you what I'm going to do. Let's do that. We're going to drop the podcast on Tuesday. We'll move Business of the Week to Wednesday. And I want to give a plug for Business of the Week. If you have a business out there that's alumni owned, contact me. We've done this for the past 2 years. We put that up on our Facebook page in hopes to drive business to those businesses that are owned by alum. So again, if you have a business that's alumni owned, send me that information along with a logo, website, that kind of stuff, and we'll get you up there.
And the cool thing, and we're going to talk about more when we get to the Business and Enterprise reunion on that one, is an idea that Dave and I have been kicking around for a year, and it's just because we're 2 people and we're not supernatural people. We can only do so much at one time. We want to launch a UPJ Chamber of Commerce. So if you're a business and you want to hire UPJ students, you want to sell to UPJ fellow businesses, if you want people who want to say, I want to do business with you because you're an alum of UPJ, we're going to hear from you because we're going to be building that. So everyone can support each other in this endeavor.
And if you're following that, I mean, we've been doing the Business of the Week for almost 3 years now, once a week. So there are a lot of businesses out there that are owned and run by UPJ alum. Everything from breweries to engineering firms to lawyer firms to photographers to banks.
Everything, pretty much everything
they're
in
out
between.
there. Yeah, it runs the gamut. So we'd love to include you, but you got to be an alum. We're not giving it a freebie to anyone that didn't go to school here.
I'm excited. So with that, David, thank you very much, folks. Check those links down below, and I'm going to throw it now to past me, who sat down a couple hours ago with Dr. Ross Kleinstuber and talk about the social science reunion. I am very excited today to welcome Dr. Ross Kleinstuber to the podcast. Ross, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You are head of social science.
Yes, I am. It's my cross to bear.
Relatively, we had Dr. Charlene, Roland on last week. You guys all kind of came on at the same time, about 18 months ago as division chair.
Yeah, it's been sort of my second year doing it. It's been a bit of a ride, learning the ropes of the administrative side of things rather than just coming in teaching my classes.
Have we behaved well enough for you?
I've only had to smack a few people.
Okay, I'm sorry. What brought you to Pitt? What's your background for those alumni who maybe aren't familiar with you?
Well, I did my undergraduate work at Rowan University in New Jersey. I was a law and justice major. I then went to University of Delaware for my graduate program. I got a master's and a PhD in sociology there. And I focused on law and society, essentially, is what my quote-unquote expertise area is, right? And so it's the intersection of law and society, as the name implies. So I do a lot of crime stuff with that as well. How laws get made, what the effect of laws are, sentencing policies, things like that. And I was looking for jobs when I was out of grad school, and Pitt Johnstown actually posted a job, the same job, earlier in the cycle, and I had started to apply but never finished that application. I ended up applying in other places, and then it got reposted later on, and I was like, maybe that's a sign. Mm-hmm. And so I applied here and got the job. This would have been 2011 that I started, and the rest is history, as they say. I've been stuck here ever since, if you will. It's like Hotel California out here.
That's pretty much. It's been said before, both on this show and by other folks, that we kind of do emulate that song and emulate that song to a good extent. You and I have had the chance to work together on some really cool things, and one thing that stood out when we were doing orientations, whatever, I can't remember what they call now.
The open house?
The open houses, but orientation is what I would think of it as, is you actually had a very interesting program that involves our students as well as the local prisons. And that program, you kind of lit up every time you talked about that. Do you want to talk a little bit about that program and what that means?
It's called Inside Out, and it's been around nationally since, I want to say 1997-ish, somewhere around there. It was started at Temple University. And essentially what you do is you take a group of traditional campus-based students and you have class inside a prison, and half the class is made up of incarcerated students. And we sit in a circle and we sit every other. So you have what we call an inside student, that's the incarcerated students, and an outside student, those are the campus-based students. So inside, outside, and we talk about, whatever the subject of the course is. I do crime and public policy because obviously my background's in law and society, but people have done, English classes there and science classes, math classes, poetry classes. You can do anything you want there. And so we've done it, I'll say 2.5 times now, because in 2020 it got interrupted halfway through for COVID, and we couldn't get back into the prisons, obviously. But everyone who's taken it has had wonderful things to say about it. It's a very transformative experience. I think it's especially important for people going into the criminal justice field, but I think it's useful for anybody, really, because prisoners are one of, if not the most dehumanized populations in our society, and to interact with them on an equal footing, to work on a group project together with these individuals, and to treat them as fellow humans, as classmates, rather than as prisoners, I think is really eye-opening, and it creates empathy. It really helps tear down the figurative walls, at least, that separate us. We can't do the literal ones.
What type of students would be from the student perspective of that, the outside student? What kind of student would that be? Is it all criminology justice students?
It's open to anybody, and I've had people from multiple disciplines. It tends to attract, I would say, criminal justice, sociology, psychology students. A lot of our psychologists are interested in social work or potentially counseling in prisons and things like that, so it's really useful for them as well. There's a program, I think, run out of Duquesne that they actually have people in the Pittsburgh Police Department's police academy come in and take classes there to try to humanize them. I think Norman Conti, I think, is the name of the guy that runs it there. I'm not 100% sure about that. But.
It was a fascinating program when you talked about it a couple times there, and it does seem like that is a good way to kind of break down those stereotypes of prisoner. They're people too, and have gone through just a situation potentially that has led them to a spot that doesn't necessarily have to define them for the rest of their lives.
Right. And especially, like I said, for people going into the criminal justice field to recognize, yes, these people did something wrong and, they perhaps deserve to be punished for it. We're not saying that, but to treat these people as humans, to recognize, look, the loss of their liberty is the punishment. They don't need, the conditions of that confinement to be, dehumanizing or anything like that. And you'll get a lot further dealing with people if you treat them like people, right? As the old saying goes, you treat someone like a dog, they're going to act like a dog. If you treat somebody like a person, they're going to act like a person. So many of these people, as we learned throughout the class, because they start sharing their background, weren't really treated very well in their childhood, and that led them into some of the bad decisions that they made. And to get a chance to be someone that doesn't see them like that treats them like a fellow human, it also gives them a chance to recognize their abilities, right? Because now they're taking a college course. We offer college credit for it. The university has been gracious enough to give them free tuition for the course. And so they can get out with college credits and maybe see, hey, there is something else out there for me. There's something I can do. And we know that when, the two best things we can do to reduce recidivism are education and meaningful, gainful employment, which obviously go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. So if we can help educate them and see that they, can succeed legitimately, they're more likely to do so. So it's better for everybody. In my opinion, it helps society that way.
It's a really, really cool program, and I certainly can tell, and I'm sure people listening can tell that just your passion for it. When you talk to the summer about it, you just kind of like, that would be so intriguing. A lot of, certainly the students and the parents seem to light up and see that too. That's very very nice that can be done, and I'm glad this university supports that. We have our reunion coming up.
We do.
This is out of all these reunions I've been able and so happy to work with David on. This is actually my reunion. This one's mine. I get to come as an actual alumni to one and not have to work it. I'll still end up working it, but social science. What's included in social science? Because we have there are alumni who listen, I know, that have were social science that are now have their own kind of reunion coming up because business is different.
Yeah, so they split off probably about 10 years ago or so now. So right now we include geography, environmental studies, history, sociology, political science, and criminal justice at the moment.
And that's the list we use for the current status is the reunions.
Yes.
Business and enterprise. So if you're an accountant or finance or marketing, you are going to be in October, and all that link is down below in the description. And we'll have a business podcast a little later, but today's our day in social science. So if you are a major in that, what do we have going on? We have the brunch, we have campus tours, faculty are coming. You're attending?
Dr. Rabley will be there. I will be there. That's all I've confirmed at.
I'll be there from the faculty perspective as an alum. Dr. Shaney said she's supposed to register today. So I think we'll have Dr. Johansson, I believe, is registering today.
We can drag him here.
We'll drag him. So we got a good showing coming as well. I'm very excited. Hopefully we get a bunch of alumni coming back and take a look and we can have a time to get together and hear what's going on with the different departments and division itself.
See all the new buildings we've built in the last few decades.
Yeah, we'll be doing campus tours after the brunch. We have it's the same time. It's a kind of a parallel event with education as well. So if you cross over, we have a lot of dual majors, education and history and education and geography. We have folks who are education and focused on one of these things to teach in schools. We're glad to see you too. Pop in and say hello because we're going to be same building, just different sides of the wall. But I'm excited. I'm sure you've been very supportive, so thank you.
Yeah, it's. I'm coming back. We're going to a show in Hershey the night before, so I'm making sure we come back, that night so that I can be here for it. I'm excited.
Fantastic. Well, then we hope to see all of our social science alum out there on this 28th of September. Again, registration links are going for both education, social science, and the business and enterprise at the end of October will be in the description below, as well as the link for the rest of the homecoming events, because our brunch kicks off UPJ homecoming. That day, there'll be a fair and on-campus meals as well in the evening, as well as the alumni tent. There's fireworks. There's a bonfire, probably intentionally set.
Maybe.
But we'll be glad to have you and look forward to it. Ross, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate the time.
Have a great week, everybody. Bye. The Tuck Shop podcast is recorded live on the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown campus. Update your contact information with us by visiting johnstown.pitt.edu/alumni. Connect with us online via Facebook and LinkedIn, or consider donating to the university at give2, that's giveto.pitt.edu/giveupj.